And now we could move on to the last today's workshop, which will be Introduction to Appium. Appium is one of the tools used in continuous integration environment. It will help with the implementation of automatic testing of the distributed system, client and server infrastructure. And if you have experience with development and would like to get more into the topic of automatic testing within the CI pipeline, this lecture is just for you. We are expecting the Zoom call with Marco Casamassima from Siemens Healthineers. And now we have, I think, like a couple more minutes, so we could use some filler.
Okay, can you hear me now? Are we
Yes,
live?
I can still hear you. Let's wait for the feedback from Kosice. Okay, we are live. So I
Okay,
think we can
perfect.
start.
Okay, so let me start. Okay, hi everybody, very good afternoon. I hope all is going as expected or maybe even better and you have really fun at Hack Kosice. My name is Antonia Zemanova and I work for Siemens Healthineers here in Slovakia, who is gold partner for this hackathon. And originally we supposed to organize workshop, but as event is done online, we decided to invite you for online webinar just to introduce you Appium tool we are using for distributed test automation. If you are interested on more technologies or tools we are using, you are invited to participate on our webinars in the future. And usually it's done every fourth Thursday, but today we agreed to postpone it by 2 days to have it as the part of Hack Kosice. In 4 weeks, October 1st, we will focus on test-driven development topic, and details for this session will be available at Facebook, at Meetup.com, and of course at Siemens Healthineers web pages. And at the last location, you can find recordings from all our webinars we did so far. Also, this session is recorded and the recording will be available at Siemens Healthineers in section about us, conferences and events, and Healthineers webinars. So I think that's all from my side. For the beginning, now it's up to Marco, who works at Siemens Healthineers as a senior DevOps engineer, to present you Appium. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. In case it's possible, you can still write your question to chat or just simply ask the question and Marco will answer it. And if it's okay for you, I would like to ask you to leave feedback, to provide feedback to us at the end, so we know what are the areas we might improve for the future. So now that's really all from my side. Marco, it's your turn.
Okay, so I will share my desktop. Yes. So now you should see the presentation and also an image of me talking. Please give me a feedback if you see it. Tonka, for example. Okay. So as Tonka already said, Appium is one of the like episodes of a series about DevOps, system integration, and so on. The first episode was about DevOps in general. And during this this session, we have had a poll because these DevOps include different technologies, and even the participants, they have selected Appium as the next chapter they would like to go deep, more deep from the technological point of view. So just a short my name is Marco. I'm working in Siemens since almost 15 years. Siemens is a big company, so I started in telecommunication, then moved into healthcare. All in all, I've worked in something like 6 or 7 projects. If you are interested, you can just shoot the QR code with your camera, and you can be redirected to the LinkedIn profile if you want to know something more about me. So this is the agenda of our presentation today. I will try to introduce you what is Appium. Then I will show you some examples related to how we use it, and also a live example of a real running test in a distributed environment where we have a server and 2 clients that are on 3 different machines on the network. And then in the end, I will try to explain why we at Siemens have selected this tool, this framework, and why, from my point of view, if you have a similar use case or maybe a similar product, you should choose it as well. And then at the end, it's up to you if you want to have questions. I will leave also my contact there. So if you want to have some personal question or maybe some support on it, I am completely available. So the first part is what's Appium, yeah? So let's try to understand what this is. Most of the knowledge I have got from their webpage. It's Appium IO. I prepared also here an example like their page. You can find here a lot of examples, tools to get started, documentation, books and resources. Actually, very much of the knowledge me and my colleagues we have about Appium, we have got from this webpage and documentation. And also, as I will say, I will tell you afterwards, there is also a huge community. So if you have questions or maybe your problem most of the time is already solved by someone else. So if you go, for example, on Stack Overflow or maybe just typing your problem on Google or your question, many times you will find out an answer on the web. The community is quite huge, and also the fact that this Appium is based on Selenium, it makes also very much usable and very much used actually in the community of testers. So this is the web page. So as again, www.appium.io. So the basic of Appium. So Appium actually is an open source test automation framework that you can use with different kind of application. You can use it for native application, from hybrid and also mobile web app. As I said, it's based on Selenium. The thing that this framework is providing you is a very huge level of abstraction. And what happens with this very high level of abstraction is that you can code your test case in different language and different platforms. Yeah, so you can choose, I don't know, Python, Java. In our case, we are using C#, and actually you have these things integrated in different development environments like Visual Studio, Xcode, IntelliJ. Actually, in case of the C#, the integration with the MS test is quite seamless. So you don't need any special plugin to run tests made for Appium into your Visual Studio environment. Appium supports test runner and test executor decentralization. It means that the system where you are executing the test can be different from the system from where you are running the test. Example, as a developer, you are working, for example, in Visual Studio, IntelliJ, I don't know, Eclipse, yeah, and you start the test from there. So this is your test runner, where the test runner is located, and the test can be executed, for example, on a virtual machine or maybe on a physical machine on your network. And this tool is providing you the support for this kind of use case. And actually, this is our use case because we have, for example, communication and collaboration functionality in our product. So you have to test, for example, the different clients will communicate at the same times. And in order to have the system test like as close as possible to the customer scenario, you want to have real machines on the network with a real server and so on. Yeah. So as I said, the developers are able to write the tests in their preferred languages. There are like really library and APIs for all kind of languages. The developer can run the tests in their preferred environment, as I said. And the test directive are sent through the Appium servers and the driver to the system under test. That really can be everything. Yeah, it can be iOS, Android, can be Windows. Yeah. What I will also show you today is that the level of abstraction of Appium makes the tests that you're writing on the C# level reusable on different platforms. So it's just enough to stick to the, for example, automation IDs you have in your application for buttons, controls, and so on. And then you will be really very fast able to move or maybe to integrate the system testing, automating testing to a different platform. Yeah. So here I have some code snippets that I would like to show you in order to give you also the idea how this driver and Appium framework is used in the code. And I will just also go then open Visual Studio and show you the code itself. These snippets are just for explanation. So Appium Service, for example, is a class we have in our own code. And you can see on the bottom side here, here you can see that there are some Appium options that you can select. Appium option is already a class provided by Appium. There you create the capability of the framework. In this case, we are selecting the application that we want to start and which arguments need to be passed to the application. In this case, there are no arguments, and the executable path is coming as an input parameter or into the constructor of the Appium Service class. So in this way, the driver knows which application has to be started in order to start testing. Yeah, and then you send this Appium options. There are different kind of options, yeah, how to run. If you want to run there are some options for process handling, messages, system messages. So there are really a lot of options. We are using it very simply just selecting the option that what is the executable and the argument. Then we send this Appium options together with the remote address of the server. I will explain it afterwards. We send it to the driver. So the driver then knows where is the remote server, that the remote server actually is installed on the remote machine where you want to run the test. And the options are just telling to the server, okay, you on that machine, you start me please this application with these arguments. Yeah. So then, oh, wait a moment. Okay, so then just to have an example how we use this session. For example, in this Appium service, we have this session, and this session can be used, for example, for searching elements, yeah, on the UI. So as soon as the session is active, so it means that my application on the remote server is started, I can do stuff like click a button, for example. Yeah, there are some conditions that I can use for searching for a button every time we are using automation IDs, because they are really unique identifier for our controls. But again, you have really a lot of possibilities. You can search by, I don't know, type of control. Okay, I want to search for buttons. I want to search by name. Yeah, I want to search by, I don't know, class ID. So there are different kind of options, and we are using, in all cases, we are using the automation ID because really it's, for us, it's kind of a unique identifier. And the reason for it is also that we are using different kind of platforms. So we have a standalone application, and we also have a web application where our application is running. Yeah. So in this case, you can see that the click button method will receive just some criteria for searching for the control. So in our case, again, the automation ID, some wait time until how long I have to wait until the controller can be found on the UI, and then here you can see that we are searching for the element into the session, and then if we are able to find if we are able to find the element, then we click. The find element method on the session is returning an exception if the element cannot be created. So you should not be in a situation where, for example, the Appium web element is returned as null. Yeah. So another example is that you can use your service instance. So as soon as, for example, in the code you have an instance of the service, we have some helper method for clicking. You can see here for finding for dialogues, for example. Yeah, with the accessibility ID, you can see here. So then this is the way how then the service that we have created here can be used then by the user. Yeah. One thing I want you to notice is that everything that we are using here is an abstraction of Appium web element. So you can see here that the element is returned is Appium web element. So we are not working, for example, with the Windows controls, yeah, or maybe with I don't know, with some web controls. Appium is taking care about the abstraction, so it means that the code and the tests that I'm writing here, just changing the driver. So instead of using the Windows driver, I can use iOS driver, I can use Chrome driver, I can use Internet Explorer driver. I just changed the way how this service is constructed, or maybe I can create a different implementation of the service itself. In our case, in this case, we have only Windows driver. We are using only Windows driver, but we have also a case where we are using, for example, the Chrome driver to run the tests on the Chrome browser. And in this case, you don't need to touch the code for searching for controls, for clicking, and all the things. You don't need to change the code of the test itself. Yeah. So just to have a look at the code, as I promised. So for example, this is the Appium Service class, and this is the code I've shown you. So this is very simple. What we are using here are the option, the Windows driver, and by using the session, the session has a wrong name here. The session should have my session because it's a field of this class. But the session then is used as far as I told you to search for control. And you can see that here we have a lot of different helping methods, like, I don't know, find and wait for element is visible, find and wait for nested element is visible. Nested elements are, for example, if you have a combo box, the combo box is an element that is containing other elements that are nested. So there are functionalities in Appium that you can search for. So you have a parent control and you can search inside these controls for nested element. So you can check if the element is visible or if it exists on the GUI map of the application. Yeah. So all these helping methods we have done by using the Appium functionality. So just to say that really it's all these methods are used, are done. All this searching mechanism, all this control patterns are done by using the session element that is a kind of Appium object that is providing you all the functionality needed to do the operation you needed and to identify the part of your application into the test environment. Yeah. So we can go ahead. So the basic for it, as I already said, just to explain more in details, there is a test runner. So it means that in our case can be, I don't know, Visual Studio, the runner into Visual Studio. In our case, for example, a build agent on your integration environment, continuous integration environment. Yeah, as I said. Then the target machine can be on the target machine. You have the Appium server, so there is a service running on the target machine. So this is the machine where the test is executed. So is the machine that is containing the test executor. Actually, the test executor is contained into the Appium server itself. Yeah, because the Appium server is the one that is triggering the operations that are somehow requested by API calls from the test runner. Yeah. And on the test executor side, you have the Appium server, and you also have the Appium driver that is like instantiating the instance. So the Appium driver is the one that is kind of instantiating the right implementation for the interface, like it means for if you are running the test on Chrome, on Edge, Windows, iOS, or Android. Yeah. Now I will show you an example, a real example, how it works in the real life. In this example, we will have 3 actors. We have a VSTS build agent, so Visual Studio Team Services. Now we moved on the Azure DevOps, but actually is the same. Yeah. So on the build agent, we have this MS Test runner. This is running like normal MS test written in C#. And what we will see into this example and into this real life demo, we will see that the agent that is running the build itself is installing the client on these 2 virtual machines. Yeah. So so both virtual machines have Appium server installed. So it means that during the test, I really want to check if two clients can chat to each other. Yeah. So what will happen is that running the test, we will start the client one. So we will trigger the test runner will trigger the test executor, sending a command that you now start the client the client software on the client one machine. So then waiting until the client is successfully started. So and verifying that this is done. Then starting the client 2 and verifying that the client restarted correctly on the second machine. And then we will see that the clients, both of them, will start chatting to each other. So it means that automatically the test runner will trigger one client first. This client will send a message to the client 2, and then verify and assert that okay, the message really went through the server and reached the client correctly. And the same will be done quite a lot of time, like an artificial discussion between the two clients. Everything in reality is automated and artificial. Everything was done by running an automated test. So as you can see, the client one will really try to chat, and the runner itself will take care about the verification that everything is done as expected. So now I will show you this real life demo. And before going to the real life demo, I can have a look at the chat here. Or maybe Tonka, you can also have a look at the chat. So in case you have any question, you can write it here, or you can write it here in the live discussion, or you can just write in the team discussion chat in the team chat. So Tonka will tell me this at the end. Okay. So let's continue then. So let's have a look at the real life example now. So now just to explain the scenario, here we have Visual Studio. You can see on the left side, and actually the machine on where the Visual Studio is running is actually also one of the clients. So actually is a physical client, will be where we will run one instance of the application. And on the right side of the monitor, you can see there is a virtual client actually is running on the Citrix Xen server. So you can see that as a different IP address. And what will happen now is that we have a test written in spec flow. So the specific steps of the spec flow, the implementation of the spec flow steps is done internally, so I will not show it here, but you can see that there is an MS test, there is receive chat message, and here you can see there are different steps. Yeah, so here we have a given, for example, remote client is successfully logged in as a user, and another this is a remote client, so it means that the client will be started on the remote machine first, and then we have a local client, so it means that we'll start on the physical machine, and then we will see that the remote client and the local client will wait that the users will be seen as online on both machines, so that we recognize that it's ready to start talking to each other. And then after that, we will see that the two machines will really automatically start to talk to each other. And you can see these steps here that not only the sending is performed, but also the verification is done, so that the remote client is sending the message, for example, and the local machine is receiving the message correctly. Yeah. So I can start now with this, and so you can have a look how it works. So now I will run the test, and you can see that we will expect that the client is running on the virtual machine first. The user is logging in, and then on the left side now we will see that the client is starting. So on the local machine, so we will have one client on the left side, one client on the right side, two users: automation user 5, automation user 4. And now the machine on the right is starting to talk to the machine on the left. Yeah, and you can see that the messages are going up and down, and the test runner on each and every step is checking that the message is sent correctly and then even received correctly from the target machine. Yeah, so at the end the client is closed, and we can see in our Visual Studio instance that the test is successful. The same way our Visual Studio is running, so by using MS Test, the build agent will run the test on the build agent side. Yeah. So from my side, this is all actually. From the point of view of demonstration, I will double check now if there is any question. Okay, still no questions. So I will just go forward. Also, the guys from Hack Kosice, in case you have any question or maybe you want to stop me somehow, you just let me know. Okay. So now some explanation why then we use Appium. So the most important thing that why we are using Appium is that we don't need to take care about GUI access. So I don't know how many of you already have had any job or maybe any programming task that had to care about GUI access by using, for example, window APIs. It's a nightmare because there are a lot of cases where states where your application can be in, and intervals, poll intervals to search for controls, GUI map caching. This can be really a nightmare because if you do it like just blindly using the Microsoft API, this can lead really to have tests that are really slow. And this GUI Access is doing also caching of the GUI map, so is caching the controls that is already found, and also but were not used in the specific case, and maybe this cache can be reused in the next query from another step, for example, another test step. So in the past, we had a GUI Access framework that was made in-house, and even with the new updates from Windows, many times we were having problems because we had to change also the GUI Access framework. This is completely like now outsourced to this framework, and this is one of the huge advantages of having a framework like this. So if you are a window programmer and you are going to automate tests in window, not caring about GUI access is really a real great advantage. But yes, for sure, there are also other frameworks that can do the job, like for example Ranorex or other frameworks even that you can buy. But this was open source, and actually the main advantage is that it's seamlessly integrated into our integration environment, into our development environment. There is a huge community. So Appium is a huge community, is based on Selenium. Nevertheless, even if it is a quite young product, is a huge community, and I think that was also one of the reasons why we decided to go for it. There is seamless integration into the integration environment. So Visual Studio Team Service, Azure DevOps. So you don't need to care about any plugin into the build agent or maybe into the build definition. It's really, really kind of transparent for you. If you are using, I don't know, if you are using MS Test, you don't need to do almost anything. You just need to add the testing task, and that's done. And you need to have a running instance of the Appium of the Windows driver that is running. Is this the server I was talking about on the build agent? But it's really easy. You just download it from the internet and run the exe file, yeah, on the target machine. There is, yeah, the biggest, one of the biggest advantages here is also that it's a decentralized runner executor, so it allows you to run test the test to run in a distributed environment. So it means client server or maybe multiple clients and against one server, even multiple servers. You can install the driver even on the server side and operate with the server. So if you want, for example, to manipulate with bandwidth, to simulate some network shortage, you can do it as well. Yeah. Then there is seamless porting of test code in case of migration. So as I said, if you need to like run your tests on a different platform, in theory, it's just about being consistent with your automation IDs and having and changing the driver in the implementation of your tests. So instead of using, for example, the Windows driver, you change to the Chrome driver, for example. Yeah. So this is all from my side. This wanted to be really an introduction to make you have a first contact with the framework, and to show you how it's used on our side, and give you a little example how it can be used. Our test also looks like. Now it's up to you. I thank you very much for your time and attention. And again, I want to emphasize one thing. This is one episode of the series that we are now doing in our company, and you can find us into these meetups. I think Tonka will tell you something more about it. This is one of the parts that is about continuous integration and testing. Actually, one of the next thing we want to talk about is spec flow. Spec flow is the mechanism that we used also to write the tests that you have currently seen. In case of any question, you can contact me on my mail, my company address, or maybe you can even contact me via LinkedIn at the QR code. So you can take a picture or scan it, and you can find my profile. So do you have any question? If not, I will double check the chats and the discussion board here. Let me check. Okay. So again, my contacts are here. Tonka, I would put the call back to you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Marco. And as you already mentioned, if you are interested on more tools we are using in our company or technologies we are familiar with, you are really invited for series of our webinars we are doing every fourth Thursday, and the next one will be October 1st. And the topic which will be presented by our colleague from Žilina will be test-driven development. So I think that's all from our side. In case you have any additional questions, feel free to send a message to Marco. You have his email address, you have contact to his LinkedIn account, so feel free to send him a message in any platform you prefer to. That's all from my side, so enjoy the rest of Hack Kosice event and see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.